Brainwashing. In today's world, we see many people so brainwashed that they may seem completely disconnected from reality. They believe the unbelievable, defend the indefensible, and reject even the most obvious truths. But how does someone get to this point? What exactly is brainwashing, and what are the practical steps that make such a radical transformation possible? Brainwashing isn't just an idea from dystopian fiction. It's one of the most powerful and effective psychological manipulations in history, and the terrifying part is, no one is truly immune to it. One of the most chilling real-world examples is the Jonestown Massacre in 1978. Over 900 people, including children, died after drinking cyanide-laced punch under the orders of cult leader Jim Jones. This wasn't a group of people who suddenly decided to follow a madman. They were conditioned step by step until their critical thinking was completely overridden. They truly believed they were making their own choices. That's the power of brainwashing. It doesn't force you to change, it makes you want to. So how does it actually happen? It follows a pattern: isolation, destabilization, indoctrination, and reinforcement. A process so effective that once it takes hold, escaping feels impossible. The first step is isolation. When you control the information someone has access to, you control their perception of reality. Jim Jones did this by moving his followers to a remote compound in Guyana, cutting them off from outside influences in everyday life. This happens in media, bubbles, extremist groups, and even in toxic relationships, where only one perspective is constantly reinforced. The more someone's worldview is shaped by a single source, the less they question it. Next comes destabilization, breaking down a person's mental defenses. This is done through exhaustion, fear, and confusion. Cults use long sermons, erratic punishments, and emotional breakdowns. Governments use constant crisis narratives, making people feel like the world is too chaotic to understand without their guidance. The more mentally drained someone becomes, the more they rely on the manipulator to make sense of things for them. Then comes indoctrination, implanting new beliefs. The key here is reward and punishment cycles. If you conform, you're praised. If you question, you're punished. In cults, doubting the leader means exile. In real-life questioning, certain ideologies can get you socially ostracized. Over time, this conditioning rewires the brain, making the new belief feel natural, even when it was forced upon you. Finally, there's reinforcement. Once brainwashing is complete, the new identity is constantly reinforced through rituals, groupthink, and identity-based loyalty. People stop questioning because their beliefs are now tied to their sense of self. They don't feel brainwashed, they feel enlightened, and that's the scariest part. Brainwashing doesn't feel like brainwashing when it's happening to you. It feels like truth. That's why people stay in abusive groups, fall for mass manipulation, and follow ideologies to extremes without ever questioning them. So how do you protect yourself? The first step is awareness. Brainwashing works by making critical thinking feel unnecessary or even dangerous the moment you feel pressured not to question something that's a red flag. The second step is exposure to multiple perspectives. If you only ever hear one side of a story, you are being controlled, even if you don't realize it. And the third step is to pay attention to emotional manipulation, fear, guilt, and outrage. These are the tools used to override logic. Whenever your emotions are being used to shape your beliefs, stop and ask yourself, who benefits from me thinking this way? Because once your mind is rewritten, you won't even realize it happened.